Good evening.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you all for coming out to our first meeting of 2025. Today is Thursday, January the 2nd. So Happy New Year to everyone. At this time, we will have our roll call for our clerk, our rote. Thank you, Mayor Jordan. Mayor Jordan, present. Mr. Branch.
Here.
Ms. Cheek. Here. Ms. Daniels. Present. Mr. Lane. Present. Mr. Shank.
Present.
Mr. Sosa.
I'm here.
Town manager.
Here.
Town attorney.
Here.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we will have the invocation and pledge of allegiance by our Councilmember Tom Lane.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, we come before you at the beginning of another year. Though we're already in the middle of our fiscal year, let us take this opportunity as we begin another calendar year to look at our needs, to look at our wants, to look at our community. And we ask for your guidance that we make wise decisions and fulfill those needs. There's always more needed than we have. So give us the wisdom to make the correct decisions so that our total community benefits from each and every act that we do. Go with us and guide us and help us to be a nation of people coming together, a community that comes together, and a community that works together as we live together for the betterment of all. Go with us and guide us in all that we do. This we pray. Amen. Let's stand for the next
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're making adjustments to and or approval of the meeting agenda that you have in front of you. No adjustments there.
agenda as presented.
Second.
The first by Councilmember Lane, second by Mayor Pro Tem Branch. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. Motion carries. Next item is the acceptance of our regular meeting minutes of December 5th, 2024. It's attachment 5. Hopefully you've had a chance to review them. What is your pleasure?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second. The first by Councilmember Cheek, second by Councilmember Daniels. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right, we're down to our item number 6, which is recognition of the life-saving awards for Butner Public Safety champions.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So we have 2 different recognitions tonight. So at first, I would like to ask Sergeant Kern, Officer Vaughn, and Officer George to come down. So I'm gonna read out the incident as it occurred. On Saturday, November 23rd, members of the platoon here responded to an EMS call in the Quail Meadows subdivision. A male patient was found by his wife at 04:21 hours, unconscious while lying on the floor in the hallway. Our records also indicate that the call was dispatched at 4:31, and at 4:32, Public Safety Officer Vaughn arrived on the scene. Upon arriving on the scene, she secured her AED bag and entered the residence. She went up to the second floor and located the patient. PSO Vaughn checked for a pulse and was unable to detect one. It did not appear that the patient was breathing. Officer Vaughn started chest compressions until the arrival of Sergeant Kern, who arrived 1 minute later. While PSO Vaughn was performing chest compressions, Sergeant Kern administered and applied the AED. The AED administered 2 defibrillations to the patient. PSO George also arrived during this time and assisted with chest compressions. After the second shock, it appeared that the patient began to take in breaths. And once EMS arrived on scene, they took over in patient care. During the investigation by Captain Bryant, he also contacted the patient's wife on November the 27th. The wife advised that her husband was still in ICU, and she commended the officer's actions in helping to save her husband's life. So at this time, I'd like to present the 3 certificates. The first, Public Safety Officer Jessica Vaughn, is with great pleasure that I issue this life-saving award for your actions in response to a call to assist EMS that came into Butner Public Safety on November 23rd, 2024. You were notified of an adult male found unconscious. You responded and located an adult male, pulseless and not breathing. You quickly began CPR until the arrival of Butner Public Safety Officers who applied the defibrillator. Through your continuation with CPR and the use of the automated external defibrillator to apply 2 shots, the patient began to take breaths on his own. The patient's care was then transferred over to Granville EMS. Your immediate response and recognition of the severity of the medical emergency and immediate actions resulted in the prolonging of life to the extent that the victim was released to the care of medical authorities. Therefore, Public Safety Officer Jessica Vaughn, you should be recognized and awarded this life-saving award to thank you for your actions and your service to the town of Butner and Butner Public Safety. Public Safety Sergeant Tyler Kern, it's with great pleasure that I issued this life-saving award for your actions in response to a call to assist EMS that came into Butner Public Safety on November 23rd. Butner Public Safety officers were notified of an adult male who was found unconscious in Quail Meadows subdivision. You responded, and upon your arrival, you applied the automated external defibrillator to the patient. Through the continuation of CPR and the use of the automated external defibrillator, the patient began to take breaths on his own. Patient care was then transferred over to Granville EMS. Your immediate response and assistance with the medical emergency by applying and administering shots with the automated external defibrillator resulted in the prolonging of life to the extent that the victim was released to the care of medical authorities. Therefore, Public Safety Sergeant Tyler Kern should be recognized and awarded this life-saving award to thank him for his actions and his service to the town of Butner and Butner Public Safety. Public Safety Officer David George, it is with great pleasure that I issue this life-saving award for your actions in response to a call to assist EMS that came into Butner Public Safety on November 23rd. Butner Public Safety was notified of an unconscious male in Quail Meadows subdivision. You responded and assisted with CPR. Through your continuation of CPR and the use of the automated external defibrillator to apply shocks, the patient began to take breaths on his own. Patient care was transferred over to Granville EMS after their arrival. Your immediate response and assistance with the medical emergency resulted in the prolonging of life to the extent that the victim was released to the care of medical authorities. Therefore, Public Safety Officer David George, you should be recognized and awarded this life-saving award to thank you for your actions and your service to the town of Butner and Butner Public Safety.
give them another round of applause.
Yeah.
They haven't arrived yet, but they will be getting lapel pins to wear over their nameplate with the Life Saving Award medal. The shipping's taking a little while. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I would like for Senior Public Safety Officer Brad Parkstone to come up. On Monday, December 16th, 2024, Butner Public Safety Officers was dispatched to an unresponsive infant on Gate 1 Road. Senior Public Safety Officer Parkstone arrived to make contact with a female who advised she was the infant's mother and the infant was not breathing. Officer Parkstone immediately began life-saving efforts on the infant by providing chest compressions. Officer Parkstone began chest compressions in the home, but quickly picked the infant up and exited so that he could meet EMS in the driveway. While waiting for EMS, Officer Parkstone continued chest compressions while holding the infant in his arms. EMS arrived on scene shortly after and took over patient care. Through the investigation, Captain Bryant contacted Granville EMS and EMT Kylie Lyles was contacted to give further details of the actions of BPS officers. EMT Lyles advised that that Officer Parkstone's actions directly resulted in medical professionals obtaining a pulse from the infant and extending its life. In her opinion, Officer Parkstone is deserving of recognition for his actions on that day. So it's with great pleasure that I issue this life-saving award for your actions in response to a call to assist EMS that came into Butner Public Safety on December 16, 2024. Butner Public Safety Officer was notified of an infant that was not breathing on Gate 1 Road. You responded and located an infant that was pulseless and not breathing. You quickly began CPR until Granville EMS arrival and took over patient care. Your immediate response and recognition of the severity of the medical emergency and immediate actions resulted in the prolonging of life to the extent that the victim was released to the care of medical authorities. Therefore, Senior Public Safety Officer Brad Parkstone, you should be recognized and awarded this life-saving award to thank you for your actions and your service to the town of Butner and Butner Public Safety.
Thank you all for coming.
We're just jealous.
So at this time, we're going to do a recognition of Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for fiscal year 22-23 to the Finance Department. Can everybody hear me? Okay, great. This award is from the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada, GFOA, is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by a government and its management. This is the 5th consecutive year the town has received this award. Mr. Fung? And it reads, Government Finance Officers Association, Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, presented to Town of Butner, North Carolina. Christopher Morrill, Executive Director / CEO.
Mayor, I gladly accept this award, but only if I can share this with my staff, who does all the hard work. And at this moment in time, I want to call them up. Come on up.
Don't be shy.
It's a yearly award. However, this is a weekly combing through all the payables and making sure everything is paid correctly. And these two ladies are really my right hand staff, and I want to recognize and appreciate them for all the hard work that they've done to help us achieve this award. And Terry Martina, she has hit the ground running, and I would like to let you know how much I appreciate you and the town appreciate you for all that you've done. Emily Means, thank you for your hard work. You've been here for a long time, and so this is a recognition of your steadfastness. Thank you so much. Thank you. Take a picture.
See ya.
It's good to get my recognition, so let's give him another round of applause. So now we're at the time for public comment period, and I will open the floor for public comment period. If you have your name on the roster, please report, state your name and address.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon and happy new year.
Thank you.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, I want to, Madam Mayor, I just want you to look at my new work clothes.
I see
Butner
that.
sign, and I got my Butner supervisor shirt on. And I'm real proud of it. And I want to thank you, Mayor, for giving me this new job I got. And that's something. You didn't get the memo? No.
But I'm really excited.
Well, my new job is, I am the new eyebrow procedure director. And this is what the poster that I want to give each of you, okay? It says, want to be happy, raise your eyebrows when you talk. So,
That is true.
so that way it's harder to say anything bad about your eyebrow, okay? Oh, man. So, now for the rest of the story, okay? That's like Paul Harvey used to say. Some of you might remember Paul Harvey, Tom. Now for the rest of the story, as a fun part of our Christmas, our family, we give out practical joke gifts for our people. And my son gave me this work shirt with the Butner and symbol on it and the hat. He also gave his brothers and his brother-in-law a orange vest, you know, the kind you wear when working in the road area and everything. And it had the Butner senior on it. And on the back of it, it said, Oak Road Work Crew. So I'm the supervisor of the Oak Road Work Crew. I got 2 or 3, some of you know I collect a lot of quotes, and I got 2 or 3 quotes, but one's a couple of them on wisdom, but the one I want to mention is one my grandchildren had about 4 or 5 years ago. And we've had a lot of fun with it in our family. It's called Smile and Nod. In other words, if your brother is number one way to stop an argument, it's just a smile and nod. Okay, so I'm gonna get these over here to Barb and let her pass them out to you after the meeting. Merry Christmas and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Happy New Year.
We appreciate that. I think if more people did more smiling and nodding, this world would be a better place.
That is true.
Yes. All right, moving along to item number 9 is to receive and accept fiscal year 2023-2024 audit report, Thompson, Price, Scott, Adams, and Company. So the town's audit is complete and they will provide us with an overview of the report.
Good evening and Happy New Year's. I believe you've all received a copy of the full audit report, and you've also got a copy of our presentation summary. So for tonight, we're going to be mostly focusing on the presentation summary, but you can always refer back to the full audit report for any questions.
Thank you.
Let's start here on page 1. We have our letter to governance, so I'm going to go through these items pretty quickly. We have met the requirements for our contract and engagement letter dated March 18th, 2024, and followed professional standards when conducting the audit. Management is responsible for the selection and appropriate accounting policies, which are described in note 1 of the full financial statements. Any accounting estimates that are integral to the financial statements have been prepared by management and are based upon their knowledge and experience of past and current events and assumptions about future events. And we found that the disclosures in the financial statements are neutral, consistent, and clear. We encountered no significant difficulties when dealing with management and performing and completing our audit. And I think it kind of speaks for itself that you just gave an award to management and finance for that. Corrected and uncorrected misstatements. There were no uncorrected misstatements that were material at the end of our audit. No disagreements with management noted. These representations are made as of November 27th, 2024. There were no independent accountants that were consulted in the course of our audit. And the only item here under other audit findings and issues that I do want to bring the attention to is the transfers that are being recorded. There should be a budget amendment to reflect those transfers ahead of time. This was noted in the stewardship section of the audit report, but was not a finding or financial performance indicator of concern. So under the other matters here, you have your required supplementary information that corresponds to your pension liability, your OPEB liability, and law enforcement officers' special separation allowance liabilities. Those are all actuarial determined. We did not audit that information, but it does come from the actuary. The board and management should be aware of GASB number 101, compensated absences change, which is going into effect in fiscal year 2025. I know that we've spoken with the finance office and they're ready. They have the information that they need in order to implement that change. Lastly, for this letter, the restrictions of this are for the mayor and the members of the town council for the town of Butner and are not to be used by unintended parties. Now on page 4, we pull out information that we think is going to be most pertinent to the board when looking at the financial statements. Now, obviously, there's a lot of information in these financial statements, but these items here are what we think you want to know when you're making a decision, at least off of the audit report. So starting with the fund balance for the general fund, it was $11.5 million. This is down from 2023 at $12.8 million, but it has been trending upwards over the last 5 years. Your restricted fund balance was up from 2023 from 1.6 million to 2.9 million. Looking at the financial statements, I can say that that's largely due to encumbrances at 6/30/2024. Non-spendable and restricted fund balance as well was up to 2.9 million from 1.6 million. Those two correspond to each other roughly. General fund expenditures were also up for the year to 10.4 million from 8.7 million in 2023. And general fund expenditures, including transfers less installment proceeds for available balance, was 82%, down from 2023 at 128%. Unassigned fund balance was 7 million, which was down from 9.7 million in 2023. I will note, though, that 2023 kind of seems to be a little bit of an outlier when compared to the other 5 years. It looks more in line with 2022 and previous years. Lastly, your unassigned fund balance as a percentage of general fund expenditures was 67%. This was down from 2023. I think it's indicative of increasing general fund expenditures. Here below, you have the revenues over and under expenditures before transfers. For the general fund, there was an income of $326,000. I do want to note on the stormwater fund that the $36,000 decrease that it reflects there actually includes a transfer, which should be excluded. On your financial statements, if you want to see more information about that, you can go to Exhibit 7, which is page 21. There was a transfer to the general fund of $263,000. That would be excluded from this amount for our presentation summary, which brings it in line with the previous 5 years. Going back to our presentation summary, cash and accumulated depreciation for the stormwater fund fixed assets was consistent. Accumulated depreciation was increasing as depreciation expense increases, and cash increased from 2023 to 1.5 million. Next, you have a breakdown of your cash versus your fund balance for your major funds and your other governmental funds. So cash was decreased in the general fund to 10.8 million from 12.5 in 2023. It is again up from previous years to 2022 and prior. The stormwater fund cash was up for 2024, and other governmental cash was also up to $3.4 million from 1.3 million in the previous year. Fund balance, as noted from the general fund, decreased. Stormwater fund balance was relatively consistent with 2023, and other governmental funds increased to roughly 3 million from 1.5 million in 2022. The property tax rate was 4.4250, which was the same as 2023. Collection percentage did increase to 98.88% from 97.85% in 2023, and it actually is the highest over the 5-year span for the town of Butner. Total property valuation decreased slightly from 2023 to 722 million from 744 million. It is up from 2022, so I would imagine there was probably revaluation at some points recently. The total levy amount was also slightly decreased to 3.07 million from 3.16 million. And then lastly, you have a breakdown of the general fund revenues and the general fund expenditures. These amounts are pulled from our Exhibit 4 in the financial statements. General fund revenues as a whole were up from 2023, and expenditures were also increased from 2023. Going to page 5. Here we have the same information that's been presented in the 5-year breakdown, but in a graphical form. It sometimes helps to see this just so you can see the trends over the 5 years. So as we noted, the total fund balance for the general fund did decrease from 2023, but you can see that it's been trending up over the last 5 years. I do want to note too that where we refer to 2022 and through 2024 group weighted averages not being available at the date of presentation, the LGC changed the method in which they were tracking the group weighted averages to track them now based off of budget versus population size. We're waiting one more year for that to kick in, and then we're going to use the group weighted averages for the budget, but we don't want to compare the two and not give it an accurate reflection. On page 6, you have your analysis of unreserved and undesignated fund balance as a percentage of general fund expenditures. That did decrease slightly from 2023. And also you have your breakdown of your revenues over and under expenditures before transfers. The general fund was decreased from 2023, but I did note about the stormwater fund that actually would be up $226,000, I believe, when you factor back in the transfer. On page 7, the stormwater fund, you can see that cash has increased Fixed assets are relatively consistent, and accumulated depreciation, as we would expect, continually increases. And at the bottom of the page, you have your analysis of your cash and your fund balances. On page 8, you have your tax rate as compared to prior years, and also up to 2022, you have it for the statewide average tax rate. So comparatively to fiscal year 2022, it's roughly in line with the statewide average for your group. And then also at the bottom here, your collection percentage. So it is up to 98.88%, which would bring it in line with the statewide average back from 2022. I also believe that that's roughly in line with the statewide average for today as well. And on page 9, you have a breakdown of your general fund revenues and general fund expenditures that you can find on page 4. There were no financial performance indicators of concern, so there is no required communication page at the end of the presentation summary. And that wraps up the presentation. Are there any questions?
Do you have any questions?
Just comment on having watched our progress over the years. It just feels great to see an audit report with no major concerns. Once again, and it says that we are on the right track, and we appreciate the staff that can help keep us that way.
Yes, sir.
We as a board can only act on the recommendations that they're brought to us, and feel that they've given us sound advice from the staff. And I think this validates our trust in the staff.
I think, and I can speak to myself and one of my colleagues came up for the testing, and we saw that when we were doing our testing. And then our colleague Melinda, who works remotely most of the time and has worked closely with your finance staff, said that it's a very proactive staff. It's a staff that is wanting to figure out what you need, what can they get you, so that way they can get this audit report completed, so that way they can provide the most useful information to the board. So it's not a staff that rests on its laurels. It's very active. Are there any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Continuing on with finance, receive and accept November 2024 financial report by Finance Director, Mr. Attachment number 10.
Madam Mayor, can we go ahead and accept the audit report, and the board needs to accept that before we move forward to the next item.
Absolutely.
I would move that we accept the audit report as presented.
First by Councilmember Lane, second by Councilmember Daniels. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to thank Mr. Wiseman for coming out here to give us this report. As you heard, grateful to get through another year. This is very difficult to work from two systems, the old and the new system, but it's behind us now. So again, want to thank my staff and your patience for going through, again, software change, and this is going to be the last one for me.
Question on that software change.
Yes, sir.
Is it benefiting us now?
Yes,
Is it way better than the previous?
way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, way better. All right, so tonight's report covers the month of November. If you would just turn to page 12 in the pamphlet booklet. Starting with the cash and investment by funds, total funds, we have $12,758,227. Other funds, we have $5,281,375. And total cash and investment townwide, $18,039,602. This, as compared to last month in October, we spent quite a bit, and most of that spending is on projects. But it's still, as compared to last year, November, we're up 2.1 million. As you heard throughout the audit report, that our fund balance is reduced, and that was intentional because we wanted to move the transfer into the reserve for the capital improvements. And so we do have a lot of projects going on, and the projects is what driving most of our spending for the month of November. For the month of November, the collection by source, everything was pretty much in line. It's a little bit increased. The only thing that I see there is not come in yet is Granville County funding. We still, we budget 116,000 for that, and so far is only 9,815 for the mini grant that came in. So just a matter of time when that money comes in. So collections, revenues, collections is at 6,890,422. That's 56% of our budget so far. As compared to the expenditure, is at 39.92%. Everything that I see, all the departments, is pretty much in line at the last month's report. Lake Hope has a little bit of a 56%, and there's a drainage that needed the repair at the restaurant. But other than that, the expenditure came in at $4,907,938. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Hunt? No questions. Questions regarding
Motion that we accept the financial report as presented.
First by Councilmember Shank, second by Councilmember Coach and Branch. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same right. Motion. Stay where you are.
Yes.
Number one.
Yes.
Consider the amendment to the vehicle use policy related to tax treatment for assigned vehicles.
So number 11, we're asking tonight, staff is recommending to amend the policy for the physical use policy and to adopt this recommendation. So the town began the assigned vehicle policy program FY 22-23, allowing the public safety officers to be assigned a vehicle, and each day is $3. And the way that it's treated is that we wouldn't take any taxes out, federal or state or FICA. But we find that that's been very difficult because the norm is to take that out. The norm is to take that out and that they're not burdened at the end of the year. However, council has been able to reimburse if budget was available. And the last 3 years, we have done that. And so the only thing that we need changing due to the software that we have is more in line. And we consult our attorney, Jim Wren, many times over this, and staff is coming to you right now and just asking that you would re-adopt this to say it includes taxes, federal, state, and FICA, so that at the end of the year, it's not something that is not a burden on the staff.
So what you're saying is they want us to do that.
Yes. We recommend this, and it'd be easier to change this.
And we found also with the new software, really we're already doing this. And so now it's a matter of putting what we're doing in line with our policy.
Any questions on that? Everybody clear?
Is it for all truck?
And you have an assigned vehicle.
I mean, how many of those?
That is a good question. I know we have certain requirements in order to do it. Champ, I don't know if off the top of your head, you know, how many folks have assigned vehicles. But they have to have certain requirements in order to achieve it.
I'm curious.
I can get it for you though.
Okay.
Questions?
I would move that we adopt the proposed amendment 010225, procedures for take-home vehicles.
So first by Councilmember Lee, second by Councilmember Sosa. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Carried. Mr. Hall.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have considered adopting the 2025-2030 strategic plan. And Ms. Lewis is going to present that to us this evening.
Just mention that we're trying to get rid of them.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So last couple of years, we have been working towards the adoption of a strategic plan, and we're finally here. So thank you so much for your work on doing this. We've got the strategic plan, which was included in the agenda. I just want to go over a few of the things that came out of our November session, working on the strategic plan, and that is part of this document. What you see first is just a review of our mission, vision, and values that we've already adopted. And now we have key focus areas. And the 4 key focus areas that came out of our planning session were economic development, organizational excellence, safe, vibrant, and healthy community, arts and recreation, and cultural resources. And then the objectives from each of those, economic development, one is that we want to develop the Umstead property as a town center. We want to continue the development progress towards the Butner Gateway. We'd like to increase walkability, develop retail base and amenities, and value current town assets and viability of selling Old Town Hall and G Street properties. So those are some of the objectives that came out of economic development. For organizational excellence, the objectives are to continue with our financial stability and viability, and to also plan for future staff and facility space needs. For safe, vibrant, and healthy community, those objectives are to increase collaboration, engagement, and partnership with existing human resource services. So finding out what other services are out there and how we can mutually help each other. Also to have advocacy to state agencies that impact our citizens' health and well-being. And then parks and recreation and cultural resources objectives are increase and expand indoor and outdoor recreational opportunities and land acquisition and facility development. So what we hope to see